Hello, everyone. Nostalgia is a powerful thing, as probably most of you have noted by now. If those of you who have been watching my channel for a while have probably realized by now that one of the primary reasons why a lot of people watch my videos, and one of the primary reasons why I make videos, is because of nostalgia, because I want to remember the games that I played when I was a kid. It's not all about nostalgia. Sometimes I discover something from an old game from 20 or 30 years ago that I never played, and I still enjoy it because it's a good game. I mean, games from that time were fun. So it's not only about nostalgia, but today I wanted to make a video that's about pure nostalgia for me. I finally found recently something that I'd been looking for quite a while. It was a game that I played on my Apple II when I was a kid many years ago, and I finally found a source for it. It is, of all things, well, let me go ahead and first boot up the simulator. I'm using what is, as of this time, I believe, the latest version of Applewin. Or at least, I don't know if it's the latest version, but anyway, you can see in the lower right, it's version 1.26.2.2. So let's go ahead and boot this up. And I am using, actually, a so-called enhanced Apple IIe for this. One thing that drove me kind of crazy about this disk for a while was that one of the games on this disk does not run properly if you're using the regular Apple IIe option. I don't know what the difference is. So here in Applewin, when you're setting up the emulator, you can choose what type of computer you're emulating, and there is an option for an Apple IIe. Then there's an option for an enhanced Apple IIe. Again, I'm not sure what the difference is, but see the second game there, Shark Hunt? That's the game that I wanted to show off because I actually played Shark Hunt when I was a kid. I actually had it on a disc, and I have not seen it anywhere. There are no YouTube videos on it. There's hardly any documentation on it anywhere. But it crashes while loading if you're using a so-called Apple IIe. Instead, you need to use a so-called enhanced Apple IIe, and then it works. Weird, huh? Before I start anything, though, let me go ahead and press B just to get the program descriptions on this disk, kind of get an idea of what's here, because there's some interesting stuff on this disk. And by the way, the name of this disk, if you want to go looking for it, this is actually, what's it called? It's... The name of the disk is A+ Programs and Utilities Disk 1B. So back in the 1980s, when the Apple II was, still a very significant computer, there was a magazine called A+ Magazine, and it specialized in Apple II stuff. It was basically an Apple magazine. And there was another magazine called Insider, spelled with a C instead of an S, because the joke is, apple cider, get it? So Insider. And those were like two of the big, really big popular Apple II Apple magazines back in the 1980s. I remember because I had a subscription to both of them, or our family did. So anyway, A+ Magazine, as did several other magazines of the day and going on into today, they sometimes released little discs along with the magazine which contained collections of software, kind of an early form of shovelware. The term shovelware came into use with CD-ROMs when people started piling a whole bunch of programs together on CD-ROMs, but the practice of doing that predates CD-ROMs because it was already prevalent in the 1980s when people would shovel a whole bunch of programs onto floppy disks. And so this is, I guess, the Programs and Utilities Disk 1B from A+ Magazine. You can find it on, as of this video, you can find it on archive.org, the Internet Archive site. It was uploaded by none other than Jason Scott. Who else would upload something like this? Jason Scott, the guy who has run textfiles.com for many years, probably one of the world's most prominent computer historians. Great guy. I've had the fortune of meeting him once in person at an ANSI art party in San Francisco. Nice guy. Anyway, now that I have sufficiently wanked my name dropping credentials a bit, let's go ahead and say no, we don't want to print the letter on the computer. I'll press N and then press enter. Here we go. Multiplay. So this is first about Faye That Math Woman. That's actually what the game is called. There's a game called Faye That Math Lady or something like that. And I guess I'll show that off as well since it's on this disc, and that's also a game. I had a disc. It wasn't the same disc, but it was a similar disc because it had Faye the Math Lady and Shark Hunt both on the same disc. But Faye the Math Lady is actually a relatively I mean, it's not a very high-profile game. Probably most of you haven't heard of it. But if you go Googling around and look up Faye the Math Lady online, you'll find a few pictures and a few references to the game. For Shark Hunt, I found none. Zero. So anyway, so yeah, this is telling you about the Faye the Math Lady, and that's fine. And then this is Shark Hunt. This is, yeah, this is about the Shark Hunt game that, that inspired me to make this video. Apple identification, I guess this, okay, this identifies your computer if you're not sure what computer you have. Yeah, and here was the address of A Plus Magazine. It was, yeah, in Belmont, California. Let's see, binary to file transfer. Okay, this is, I guess this is a, obviously a file transfer utility. That's nice. Picture printer, always useful if you've created a high-resolution graphics display and you want to obtain a printed copy to show your friends. Of course, I wouldn't have this situation since I don't have any friends, but that's all right. Ampersand package. This is about, what is this about? This is nothing to do with, I think there's another package called Ampersand, which is actually for playing sound and music on the Apple IIgs using the Apple IIgs's Ensoniq sound chip. But I think this is obviously something completely different. Or is it? Yeah, okay. I'm not sure. I'm not going to go through all this software, but I'm just anyway, here we go. Yeah, so this is something special. This is about sounds for the Apple IIgs. The Apple IIgs had a special sound synthesizer chip in it, which used a totally different set of instructions from how people made sounds on earlier Apple II computers. It apparently was not well understood or widely used because there were not many games ever made which really properly took advantage of the sound capabilities of the Apple IIgs. There are a handful of games that really were specially made for the Apple IIgs, but not many at all. You could count them, I think the total number of games that were really special made for the IIgs numbers less than 100, or at least the number of well-known, like the list of, you know, AAA games, what then counted as AAA in the sense that they were made by large studios like Electronic Arts or Accolade or whatever. I think the number of games that, or Activision, I think the number of games that were really properly made for the Apple IIgs by big studios numbered less than 100 in total. So not really that many games made that properly took advantage of that. Anyway, so this is all about Ensoniq sounds, and yeah, this is interesting stuff. I actually was thinking of making a short video about how to program sounds for the Apple IIgs using the Ensoniq chip, since it seems to be something not well understood even among Apple II aficionados, since most Apple II folks are more interested in the Apple IIe, or even the original Apple II, but not so much the Apple IIgs. So this is something that I was thinking of making a video about, but it's kind of technical and probably not very... Wow, real-time oscilloscope on the Apple IIgs. It's pretty awesome. I mean, this is awesome stuff. If you're, you know, if you're a computer nerd, this is really fascinating stuff, I think. But yes, the end. That is all for another video, maybe someday. But again, what I did want to show off was the two games, the two educational games that are on this disc. I guess I'll start with the first one, just because why not? It's probably more interesting, actually. So here it says multiplay. I guess is it a multiplayer version of Faye the Math Lady? I'm not sure. I actually don't know the story there. But anyway, so I'll start with the first game. Curiously enough, this disc somehow gets the two keys there backwards. So you see multiplay says 1 next to it, and that should mean you press 1 to run it. But instead, if you press 1, it runs Shark Hunt. And if you press 2, it runs multiplay. So they got those two swapped around. So I'll press 2 now to play... Dun, 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 dun. A Plus Disc Magazine presents Faye Multiplay by Dida Tech Software. Copyright 1984. Wow. Oh, how time flies. There we go. An extract from Faye That Math Woman. Okay, yeah, I don't know what the deal is. It says, yeah, Faye Multiplay is an extract from Faye That Math Woman. Not sure what the deal is. Dida Tech Software. Oh, in Vancouver, Canada. There weren't, I think there were not a whole lot of prominent Canadian software houses back in the day. Anyway, let's go ahead and quickly press 2 for help. This is how to play the game, and actually it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really matter because the game is very simple. The game is so simple that anyway, let's just press 1 for play. Screen number 1. Oh boy, that was a cool intro there with the letters flying in from the sides of the screen. Okay, 8 times 2 is 16, so let's go ahead and type in 16 and press enter. And Faye jumps 2 steps 8 times. I sometimes get confused by the distinction between how you're supposed to represent numbers like these, because the fact is that in multiplication, okay, 9 times 1 is obviously 9. In multiplication, the order of the numbers don't matter. 2 times 8 is the same as 8 times 2, and that's always the case. That's a rule in multiplication. But there is sort of a psychological idea. 4 times 4 is 16. There is sort of a psychological concept that if you write something like 8 times 2, then that suggests 2 8 times and not 8 2 times. Like here we have 7 times 2. So you could interpret this as the number 2 occurring 7 times or the number 7 occurring 2 times. But if I type in 14, I think she's going to interpret this as taking a step of 2 and doing that 7 times. Yeah, she does. Somehow there's just this sort of... people seem to naturally interpret this as meaning 7 times the 2. So you have the 2 7 times, even though you could just as easily have the 7 2 times, and that would also be mathematically correct. Don't know why, yeah, and here it's 10 times 1. I guess if it was 1 times 10, then she would just take a huge leap of 10 steps and just do that one leap all at once. I mean, mathematically it's the same. Mathematically you get the same result, of course. 10 times 1 is the same as 1 times 10. But I just find it interesting how some people interpret these a bit differently. Some people will interpret the first number times the second number, or the second... Anyway. All right, 4 times 4 is 16. Yeah, so she takes fairly long striding jumps at 4. So what if you had something like... What if we had something like 1 times 10? Would she really take a huge leap that's 10 steps long? Don't know. I mean, this is all small stuff. I mean, she's just taking 2 steps at a time. But I'm curious if we get a huge number, like a really huge number in the second spot. If we got 2 times 9 instead of 9 times 2, would she really just take a long striding 9-step jump? I don't know if we're going to get that. It seems like the game consciously doesn't want to give us that. It's giving us the big numbers first and then the small numbers second, so that poor Faye, the math lady, doesn't have to jump too far at once. Yeah, it looks like 4 is the farthest that she's going to jump at once. So all right, one more time. I think I'll do this one more time. Yeah, 8 times 1. Okay. Yeah, you can see the game is not especially difficult. I mean, I don't know if there's a difficulty setting somewhere, if you can increase the difficulty of the game, but obviously it's, you know, it is a children's game, so it's not like it is not necessarily meant to be super challenging. All right. Yeah, okay. I think we've already seen pretty much all that there is to see of the game, so I'm not going to, I guess I shouldn't spend too much time here. I like how she's tapping her foot. I know it's just an animation of like 2 pixels. I think that's literally animating 2 pixels there. But I like the way she's tapping her foot impatiently. You can do so much with just 2 pixels there. It's kind of amazing sometimes. All right, how do I get out of this? If I press escape, oh yeah, okay. If I press escape, it asks, "Do you want to quit?" So I will say yes. Congratulations, you have earned 176 points. You answered 10 questions, got all of them correct. All right, thank you. All right, I'll say 4 finished. Oh, what if I say 3 print error list? Show errors on the screen. No errors. Okay. All right. 4 finished for now. And that should take us back to, or does it? Does that just leave us here? Oh, that actually just leaves us here at the command prompt. All right. Can I reboot the emulator to, there we go. Okay, rebooting, and this should load the disk again. Okay. And I guess I'll just run Shark Hunt, and that'll be it for now. Maybe someday we'll revisit the topic of sounds on the Apple IIgs, because I think that is a fascinating subject. The original Apple II computers, right up until the Apple IIe, they can do just a square wave. That's it. They really have a very simple, like one bit sort of sort of sound modulation, but the 2GS had a vastly improved set of sound capabilities, which again most games didn't take advantage of. So okay, so we're here again. I'll press 1 for Shark Hunt counterintuitively, and I'll let Shark Hunt run. Yes, A+ Disc Magazine presents Shark Hunt by Psychotechnics Incorporated. And the game goes through a few gyrations as it loads. It looks like we're back at the basic prompt again. It looks like I could type in something here, but I think the game is still loading. This game appears maybe just a bit buggy because, like I said, it does seem to crash when using a regular Apple IIe. I should probably increase the speed of the machine. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. Copyright Psychotechnics Incorporated 1983. Licensed material. Okay. No paddles are present. Yeah, I disabled paddles and joysticks in the configuration. Use Apple keyboard. Do you want sounds? Sure, I'll press 1 for yes. Yes. Oh. Now that was a dramatic introduction. And yeah, Psychotechnics, which I assume is located in Illinois, since they have a phone number there in Illinois. Yeah, it says this is one of 80 validated programs in the Telemath series of educational software. You know, it's funny because I did do some looking up Psychotechnics, and I did find a reference to them in a very old issue of PC Magazine. Remember PC Magazine? I think it was PC Magazine, some magazine from the day, and they were basically saying the same thing, that Telemath has produced 80 educational programs, but none of them seem to have been a big hit. This is really not a well-known company at all. I don't think they had they made a whole bunch of software apparently. They made 80 programs, which is not a small number of programs for a software company to make back in 1983. And yet, I don't think they had a big hit with any of them. Well, you might see why after we start the game, because the reality is that this game is not that great. Again, I'm making this video for nostalgia purposes more than anything. It's a game that I wanted to highlight because I played it as a kid, and I remember it, and I wanted to play it again, but it's really nothing very fantastic. I mean, an Apple II programmer could have probably made this game in a few days. Takes a while to load. I'm tempted to speed up the emulator, but this is the... Okay, at that point, we wouldn't have gotten to this screen if we'd been using an Apple IIe. The game would have showed a bunch of garbage on the screen, and then it would have just stopped there. I don't know why, but again, because we're using the enhanced Apple IIe, we can see the screen now. So, press question mark for help. Okay, can I... there we go, press question mark for help. Take turns entering the percent of the figure that is shaded. Push. Okay, that's fine. You can read this if you want. But again, all right, so here's where we put in the initials of the players. You can't put in the player's full name, but you can choose the initials of the players. So for player 1, what's my first initial? I guess I'll just call myself, since I'm Late Blight, I guess I'll say L. And then the second initial is, I guess, B. LB, Late Blight. Okay. There we go, LB. And the second player is also me, so I'll say, I don't know, I'll say the second player is the same, or should it be a bit more imaginative than that? I don't know. I'm not a very imaginative person, so I'll just say LB is both players, and we can imagine that they're different people who just coincidentally have the same initials. Okay, what percentage of this box is shaded? I guess it's pretty obvious that it's 50%. So I'll type in 50. That's right, get ready to go on a shark hunt. And this is the shark hunt, and you press enter, and pressing enter launches that harpoon in the upper left, and you want to launch it when there is a shark about to enter the trajectory of the harpoon, because then you get points. Like that shark was worth 40 points because it has 40 written on it. Okay, what percentage of this box is shaded? Once again, it's 50. This is basically the whole game. It always asks you basically what percent of something is shaded, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the whole game. In this case, it's pretty easy because it's been 50% already the first 2 times. Sometimes it gets tricky. You do sometimes get a decimal percent when it's something like when I was testing this before recording, I had, I think, 7/8 of the figure were shaded, and I actually didn't know off the top of my head what that is as a as a round decimal percent number. So, okay, here gets a bit trickier because you might think shaded means colored black, but no, it's actually the color white. So it's not the 4/5 that are black, but actually the shaded part is that 1/5 that's white. Well, 1/5 is 20%. That's pretty straightforward. I know that. So, let's get ready to go on a shark hunt. So that shark is worth 40. For some reason, when I first saw these sharks, I didn't interpret that 0 as a 0. Somehow it looked like maybe a coin, so I thought maybe that shark is like worth 1 coin. But no, that's a 10. It's not 1 coin, it's a 10. Here we go. So now we have 3/5 shaded, so that's 60%. Again, all this is pretty easy, but when you get to something like I said, 7/8, I had to think about that for a moment. I mean, I'm not a math genius. I actually am not very good at converting stuff like that in my head. So I don't even remember what it was now. What is 7/8 in percent? I think it was something like 87.5%. I mean, I guess you could calculate that. Of course, you could calculate that, but are you supposed to do that in your head? Are you supposed to know that off the top of your head? Or, I don't know. I'm not sure what the deal is. And you have limited time to give this answer. Like, you don't see a timer running here, and so you'd think that you can take as much time as you want. But actually, no, that's not the case. If you dawdle here too long, the game will say, oh, time's up. So that is 40%. And it gets a bit tricky when those sharks at the bottom come in from the right because you have to shoot them fairly quickly. You have only a very narrow window of time in which to hit them before they extend beyond the reach of the harpoon, because as far as I know, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, you can probably adjust the angle of the harpoon. I was just about to say you cannot adjust the angle of the harpoon, but now that I think about it, it probably is possible because the game does allow you. It did mention paddles. Remember, the game mentioned paddles, so I assume that maybe you can use paddles to swivel that harpoon around. But I don't know what you'd use instead if you don't have paddles, like in this case, because I just tried pressing the left arrow and it actually fired the harpoon. It actually when I was on that. Wait, hold on. What is this now? Okay, here we go. Here we have 5/8. What is 5/8? I honestly don't know. Wait, hold on. What is 1/8 in percent? That's 100 divided by 8, so that would be 12. That's 12.5. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so it's 62.5. So that was 50% plus 12.5, so it's 62.5. Okay, but I had to think about that for a bit. Okay, this is very easy. It's obviously 50%, but something like that, boy, that. So once again, I'm going to try pressing. This time I'll try pressing the right arrow key, and I think it'll just fire again. It doesn't adjust the angle on the harpoon. Yeah, it fired. So again, I don't think that. Unless I'm missing something, I'm not aware of any way to change the angle of the harpoon with the keyboard, but probably if you have a paddle plugged in, you can do it. But anyway, all right, this is 40%. So yeah, it just keeps on going like this. It really just keeps on going like this, seemingly forever. I think if you get an answer wrong, you can win, like the other person can win if somebody gets an answer wrong, but in this case, it's kind of a tie every time because... It's been a tie every time because both players have gotten the answer right. But actually, now that I missed that one, now that I missed that, now that I wasn't able to convert, and I missed that shark as well, now that I wasn't able to convert 5/8 into a percent, maybe it'll actually, I don't know, not sure. I guess, I think at some point it is possible for somebody to win this game, but I think it looks like it won't happen here because... if both players keep getting the answers right, then I think the game will just keep going until somebody gets a bunch of answers wrong, and then finally it says, okay, the other person who didn't, or who got less answers wrong is the winner. But yeah, and this is 20%. Okay, I mean, okay, I think we've seen about all that there is to see. This has been Shark Hunt. I'll go ahead and go on one last Shark Hunt, and then when this is over, I think I'll call it a video, because this. You know, it's not a bad game. I mean, and when you're a kid, as I had the misfortune of once being, then stuff like this is actually entertaining for for longer than it is when you're an adult. So I actually did have some fun with this for a while. I don't think I played this for hours and hours, but I did play this for probably longer than would make sense for a thinking person to play a game like this when I was something like 8 years old. So, because, you know, when you're 8 years old, you do stuff like this. You go on wild cocaine parties and get pregnant and play Shark Hunt for 5 hours, because that was just the wild and crazy kind of kid that I was. Oh, now it says winner. So I guess the second Late Blight won, probably because I guess the first one must have gotten that one answer wrong. Or not. He didn't actually get it wrong because I didn't type anything in. He just took too long to answer. Ooh, I just barely caught that shark. Okay, so I guess I'm the winner. A winner is you. All right. And I think when you're the winner, you can actually go on several shark hunts, because I just fired all my 3 harpoons and now it reset and is letting me go on a shark hunt again. So my wonderful reward for winning the game is being able to go on several more of these highly thrilling, entertaining shark hunts. Which, again, you know, it's not bad. I mean, it's not a bad game. It's just kind of, it does get fairly old fairly quickly. There's not much variety to the questions. It seems like every time the question is just what percentage of this figure is shaded, and then just press a key to shoot your harpoon 3 times. Or not. I guess you're not obligated to shoot your harpoon. I guess you can not shoot your harpoon and then not hit the sharks, because why not? You can be a rebel and not hunt the sharks. Maybe you want to save the sharks. Maybe you want to be an ecologist and not doom these 30-point sharks to a doom of being shot on an Apple II screen, in which case you can not shoot your harpoon and you won't get any points, but you might be a hero, at least in your own mind. All right, I guess I'm the winner with 570 points. So I guess that's all there is to see here. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been an excerpt of Faye the Math Lady and Shark Hunt and some other programs which were on a disc collection called the A+ Programs and Utilities Disc 1B. I hope that you've enjoyed watching. I hope that this has been at least somewhat entertaining, watching me indulge my silly childhood memories for half an hour. I can't believe that I talked about this for almost half an hour. But life is sure crazy sometimes. Or I guess I'm sure crazy sometimes. But anyway, again, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed, and we will probably see each other again in future videos. So I will sign off and say bye-bye for now.